most desperate for attention person you've ever dealt with. Marisol was one of those people who couldn't breathe if she wasn't the center of the room. If a teammate got a shout out at practice, she'd suddenly limp off with a mysterious injury. If the guy she liked laughed at another girl's joke, boom, she'd get a phone call about a family emergency and need everyone to comfort her. But the strangest thing was how our gym's power kept cutting out. I trained at a competitive dance studio, and every few weeks the music and half the lights in the main hall would just die mid-session. The owner kept calling electricians who found nothing wrong, and it always happened at the worst moments. During showcases when another dancer had the floor, during tryout announcements when someone else made the top group, during those little clusters where everyone gathered to gush over somebody's new solo. Nobody linked it to Marisol at first because she was always standing right there in the dark gasping what happened, like the rest of us. She'd even post stories complaining about the sketchy wiring, genuinely convincing. Then our maintenance guy Hollis found something off inside the breaker closet behind the studio. Someone had been flipping the main circuit by hand and jamming a hair clip to keep the panel from latching. And caught in the hinge was a rhinestone barrette, the exact custom kind Marisol wore in every single photo, with her initials glued on in little gems. MR. She insisted someone must have swiped it to set her up, because obviously people are stealing hair accessories to frame their rivals. Word tore through the studio. People started calling her Blackout behind her back. You'd think she'd ease off after that. Wrong. She just switched methods. Suddenly Marisol had every condition under the sun. One week she was having dizzy collapses mid-routine. The next she was having asthma attacks during stretches. She'd crumple to the studio floor and everyone would panic and grab the first aid kit. But her timing was, again, unbelievably convenient. She only had these episodes when something good was happening for someone else. When Bianca landed the lead in our spring piece, Marisol swooned right at the bar. When our group won at a regional competition and everyone was screaming and hugging, she started wheezing and clutching her chest in the middle of the celebration. Our coach, Ms. Adeyemi, started noticing that Marisol never had a crisis during a boring Monday conditioning class, only during announcements, wins, or the second someone else got praised. The final straw came at our end-of-year recital. A quiet girl named Priya had been perfecting a contemporary solo for months. She was genuinely stunning, the kind of talent that makes a room go silent. Everyone had been waiting for her piece because clips of her rehearsals kept going around. So Priya walks out, the spotlight finds her, the music swells, and she lifts into her opening pose, and right then, Marisol shrieks from the wings and drops to the floor like a rag doll, eyes fluttering back, body twitching, the whole show. Chaos. Instructors rush over, a parent calls 911. Priya just stood frozen in her spotlight while the entire audience turned away from her to crowd around Marisol. The recital stopped cold. Parents who'd come to film their own kids were now filming Marisol instead. The paramedics arrived and moved her into the hallway to check her out. I was nearby folding costumes, so I heard the whole thing through the door. They checked her pulse, her breathing, asked her questions, but she stayed limp with her eyes closed, looking totally at peace. Then I heard one paramedic murmur to the other that her vitals were completely normal. Steady pulse, calm breathing. When they lifted her eyelids and shined a light, her pupils reacted fine. And every time they asked something, her eyelids would flutter like she was listening but forcing herself not to respond. That's when the older paramedic leaned close to her ear. I couldn't catch the first part, but then he said it louder. Okay, if she's really unresponsive, we'll need to place a catheter and start an IV line to check for internal bleeding. Let's get it ready. Marisol bolted upright so fast she nearly cracked her head on the wall, eyes wide, glancing around all bewildered. What? Where am I? What happened? Pure innocent confusion. Too late. Half the backstage crew and two parents standing in the hall had heard every word. The story ripped through the studio by the next morning. Priya got a rescheduled solo the following week and brought the house down to a room that actually watched her. Marisol quietly stopped showing up to class, and by summer her name was off the roster entirely.